Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had Hey, Nadia, nice to see you. Jack, nice to see you as well. I hope you had a nice evening, everyone. Let's see, I'm going to do this. There we go. It is nice to be back. We had a really nice meeting on Sunday. That was different, talking to everyone. It was just so much fun. Now it'll be back to, okay, I just see text. And I had to get used to having several people wanting to talk and letting people talk, not just type. That was, it was quite the experience. It was really fun, and I hope everyone who was there enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to the next one, which will probably be, I think end of June or something like that. So Jack is asking, when you disrobe, did you had to give up your orange robe? I didn't have orange robes, and I didn't have to give them up. I still have them. I had a few sets of robes, and I think I have them lying up on the attic somewhere. I haven't seen them for a long time. But no, I didn't have to give them up. I was back here in Sweden when I contacted my teacher and said that I was going to disrobe. And maybe in some traditions you have to give them back. I don't think I'm allowed to wear them, because only monks are allowed to wear them. And there's different things about colors. I was very fascinated by this first. I thought there was something behind that, but basically in Sri Lanka, the way it is that if you have orange robes, that means you're a temple monk. So that means that you're very likely in a city doing rites and rituals as a Buddhist monk, more like a priest. And if you have any of the more like forest-colored robes, like I had the photo you see of me is actually my linen that I have underneath, kind of like just a short shirt, whatever. Otherwise, I didn't have orange. But the people who went meditating, who lived in the forest, they usually had brown, and it was people who meditated usually didn't wear orange in Sri Lanka. In other countries, they do. Hey, Christian, nice to see you. Nadia, thank you. The group session was very valuable. Looking forward to the next one. Yeah, thank you, Nadia. Me too. And I was just talking to my fiance about this, and I was saying that I wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't helping me with my practice. There is this thing on YouTube that people just want to get out and share everything they experience, and they want to teach, and they become famous. No, maybe not famous, but they want to help all the world. And I have kind of the opposite. I want to understand this before I do any kind of teaching or before I share it. And I remember when I was ordained, I was very hesitant to share anything, and I only shared what I had experienced, and I still have that. I only share what I experienced. I don't share what I read or what I believe like that. I'm very careful when I say this is something I believe, it's not something I've experienced. And if it wasn't helping my practice, then I wouldn't be doing this. Because I think my practice is more important than my teaching to me. I also, in my mind, I would actually have to wait until I'm fully finished with this and I have no distortion left. Then I would want to teach. But until then, there's always going to be a part of me like, I don't fully understand it. I'm trying. Having these coaching sessions like we did on Sunday is very valuable to me because it helps me. Every time I talk about it, I understand it better. I find new angles, and people ask for structure. There was one guy who I did a coaching session with, a few of them, and he wanted to have things visual. He wanted to see what you actually do. That's when I came up with the whole thing of how you need to focus on being in a good mood. When you're in a good mood, then you're being forgiving, and then when you're being forgiving, those things to support that in your life, you need to sleep well, eat well, and watch what you consume in media-wise. Usually that means your phone. So if you do those things together, then you usually feel better. So you feel well, you feel happy, and then when you feel well and you feel happy, you have an easier time forgiving people and not having conflict. The whole forgiving is like you can take that into more. And then if you take all of these and narrow it down, what happens is that you enjoy your senses. So many people believe that it's about enjoying the things happening to you, your life story, that you become successful, that you are rich, that you are poor, if that's what you're aiming for, or that you have a beautiful partner, whatever it is you believe is important. That's the story. But if you do these things that I mentioned and then you do them, they reinforce each other, and then you start noticing your senses, they come to your forefront, and it's just being alive is enjoyable. It's not that you need to do anything while you're alive. Just the fact that you're alive is amazing. It's a miracle. Think about it. It is a miracle. It's incredible, and you actually get to experience that miracle. Now you can have these experiences like we were discussing, but Nadia shared it, where you actually experience life from a non-centric perspective, where you don't feel that you're really there. And that's quite different from, for instance, a jhana or a concentration state, where you kind of manipulate your awareness to be calm or to feel certain things, whereas in a non-centric state or non-dual state, you're not experiencing any sense of self. It's a very clean, clear. I think it's the real way the world is. It's more real than the way we experience the world otherwise, because we experience not the world as it is, but with our filters in between. It's actually experiencing the world without that. So understanding all of that was, I just did this instinctively, and it was not at all how I would have talked about it just a year ago. But through talking to people, doing more coaching sessions, and being here sharing this on the sittings, I have to come up with better ways of explaining it. And I have a very poor memory, so I just forget things. I need to really understand it, and then I just kind of say it. But I literally can't remember any complicated stuff. So it needs to be simple. It needs to be really simple stuff. There shouldn't be all these. Theravadan Buddhism is famous for being incredibly complicated and very flow chart. Like you go from here, then you go there, and if you do this, then you get there, and then you get reborn in this, and then you come up here, and then up here. You can. It's very like this leads to that. Jack, orange or yellow for a leaf that is ready to fall. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, all of the colors of the robes were dyed with colors from the forest. Nadia, it's very comforting to know that the non-centricness is the real world. It's very pleasant. It is. And just think of children, how they view the world. Like they're just... I was talking to my daughter today when we were having dinner, and it's just amazing. And my son as well. They're just so free. They don't have the inhibitions we have. They don't have all the worries we have. My daughter was saying, yes, I kär, which means I'm in love with. We speak English, but she mixes sometimes Swedish. And like I'm in love with, and she mentioned a boy in her class. She's 6 years old, by the way. And also my friend, she's also in love with him. We both are. And I also, and there were some other boys she liked as well. And then I asked, can I share with your mother as well, or is it a secret? Like, you can say it, Papa, it's okay. And then I said, and she's, yeah, but Mama, I don't know if it's going to work out, if we're going to get married or not. Maybe not. Maybe we just kiss. And it's just so amazing to see how, but it's just so uncomplicated. For them, it's just like, oh, we just have fun, and it's so cute. There's nothing, it's just so innocent, and just, they just view the world, and they have fun, and they just experience reality without all the stuff we have. But they gradually start getting them, and the older they get, the more they get it. When they become teenagers, it gets kind of hyper-stimulated. I think especially when they get their telephones is when it really goes off the boards, kind of. I see the teenage girls around here, when they walk, they kind of go and watch their phones, and they just don't look happy anymore. I saw these girls when they were kids, and they were just happier then than they are now. So it is sad to see how when we grow up, we fall into this whole trap. And spirituality, in my opinion, just most of the spiritual teachings just do the same thing, but through a different perspective. It's like law of attraction is the classical thing. Oh, you still want to become famous, you still want to do this. Or the way non-duality is practiced is basically, oh, you're not you, you're everything, but you still identify with everything. I'm talking about something that goes beyond all of that, where you don't identify with anything, where you just are. And you don't need to do anything to feel good. It just is. There is no part of you left. It's just things being, and it's such a release. And I think this lines up perfectly with how Theravadan Buddhism sees liberation or enlightenment, which is that the thing that is reborn is gone. There is nothing left. Literally, you cannot feel anything there. It's just experiences. And all this talk about rebirth or reincarnation or concentration states, right and wrong, it makes no difference. It just disappears. Jack, what was the sutta that you recite the most during your morning sessions, or puja in Pali, or whatever it was called in the morning? I remember the start of it. I don't remember the name of it. It's like Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho. There's like this, that was the first one, and I think there were three, I don't actually remember them, that's just the first part. I think there were three verses, and then we had some other things. And when I was ordained, that was the big thing. That's how you become a good monk. You chant, and I used to do singing. I even went to the Ballet Academy, the musical arts program, many years ago. So I can't sing, and they were like, "Oh, it's so beautiful. It's the perfect monk. He can sing, and you're a good Buddhist." And kind of like, "Oh yeah, I am." In the beginning, it was like I liked to feel like I'm a good Buddhist and I'm a good monk. And they're like, "Wait a minute. I didn't just leave everything here where I was singing and I was doing musicals and stuff, to go away somewhere and put on a robe and people telling me I'm good at singing. Like that's not why I became a monk. There has to be more to it than that, even though that is unfortunately what many people view as being a good Buddhist. But we had chants morning. I had a morning, lunch, and evening, so 3 times per day they did that. And I guess in a way it's a kind of meditation. It's a kind of meditation for sure, but it's very different from actually meditating. If you ever encounter St. Benedict monks, they have this Gregorian chant that is probably European version of it. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of chant. I'm not really into all of that stuff. It was something you did because you were supposed to do it, but it's like I didn't become a monk because of all the stuff you're mentioning now, Jack. I became a monk because I wanted to meditate, and I basically used my robes as a vehicle to explore myself through meditation, which in the beginning at times I felt bad about that. But the more I spoke to people, they're like, yeah, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Like, and the more I did it, the more I realized, well, this is why they have monks. Monks, from the beginning, were not there to keep Buddhism alive. They were there to practice meditation, to become liberated, to explore their minds, to go inside and see what happens when we sit and we observe all these things. And can I give up this sense of self? What happens when all these things come up? How do I face them? And like all the trials and tribulations you go through. And then we go and share that with the people who have donated food to us. So we in return for getting the means to sit all day from middle of the night until actually the middle of the night as well, to late at night, we share what we have learned. But it's not the way that we think about it. Oh, you do it and then you go out and you share it immediately. No, you could do that for 20, 30 years before you even talk to anyone. It's a really long process, but unfortunately it's become that monks are there to uphold Buddhism as a religion rather than actually practicing getting liberated themselves, which I believe is not at all. I mean, that's not how it was in the old days, but that's how it's become now. I know about puja, but was there any other recitation you have to do during your day? What do you mean? I mean, there's lots of chants that you do, and then you have other chants. I mean, you have recitations you need to do when you, during certain ceremonies, there were sometimes some things you need to, I don't actually remember any of them. For me, they're completely unimportant. There were just things you had to do, but yeah, there were some things we had to recite. But again, I lived in meditation centers. That's not really a thing there. The things you, like prayers, you have to know. No, there are no prayers in Buddhism that we do. They have the, what do they call the ones for how to avoid being hurt by bullets and stuff. That like kind of, they see them like blessings. But again, this is more stuff you do in Buddhist temples in the cities or when lay people come. But if you go where I did, which is to meditation centers, they don't waste time on stuff like that. They actually meditate. They focus on exploring what's inside. The stuff you mentioned, that's more religious, and that's more in the temples, in the cities, during festivities or during, things like that. But for the people, the monks who actually went to meditation centers, you had very little contact with that stuff. Yeah, it's like I said, those things are much bigger in the cities, but in the meditation centers, they don't get much like weight. No one really does that because people are too busy meditating. I actually met quite a few monks who, when I spoke to them, and I said, "Oh, so do you meditate? Like, have you been?" And I mentioned the Goenka because there's a lot of monks who go there, and like, "Oh yeah, I went there. It was amazing." "Oh, so you do the technique? You meditate?" No, I don't have time because I'm so busy with school, Buddhist school, and learning the sutras and chanting and rites and rituals and doing the stuff that needs to be done at the temple. So they left their lay life to go live as monks, but they don't practice anything other than reading texts and scriptures, which mean literally nothing unless you actually apply them. So it's again one of those things that I really, one of the reasons I stopped being a monk was because of that, because Buddhism has become a religion. Unfortunately, people believe that the way that you become liberated is by living as a monk, just living frugally, living without things, and living in celibacy, and not eating after lunch, or not drinking, not having sex. Those things are just so superficial. It's like if you have an iceberg, it's basically the snow on the iceberg, barely the snow on the iceberg. It's like the mist that kind of hangs around the ice. It's such a tiny thing. It's just the thing in the beginning, but there's just so much more. It's like when people do shadow work and they bring up these difficult things and how my father did this or this. It's just the surface. There's so much more. And it's just become the whole practice, unfortunately. And people, because those are visible things, and people like to look up to monks because they do something. "Oh, I couldn't live without drinking." Like, couldn't live without drinking? Like, what are you, like, we're talking about giving up your identity as a person, the feeling that you exist, and you think it's difficult to give up drinking or having sex. Like, that's nothing in comparison. And you can do that while still maintaining a strong sense of self. You can go, "I'm doing the right thing. I'm giving up drinking. I'm giving up sex. I am on the righteous path." That is a lot of sense of self. You haven't given up anything except for the actual action of drinking and having sex. So it's unfortunately there are still a lot of monks who do practice and actually do want to do this stuff, but the general public, almost at the average monk does not do it that way because they're too busy being monks to actually practice, and it's a shame. I think that there will be I have a feeling that it will kind of swing back, because before people become monks just to be monks, and it was a thing. They didn't have enough money in some families, so they sent their youngest or oldest son, I can't remember which, to be a monk. And it was an honor to the family. I mean, good karma if you could send one of your children to be a monastic. But then when they got schooling and stuff, then they disrobed and came back to society because they no longer wanted to just do that. Because now they have telephones and they're influenced by society around them. So I believe that in the future there's going to be much fewer monks. But hopefully the people who actually do this, there will always be some religious people who do it, but the people in the future, I hope, will be more people who actually want to practice, who use their robes as the way it was intended, which was a vehicle to be able to step away from society, to meditate and to focus inwards and see what happens inside. Not just blindly follow dogma and the traditions of Buddhism, but actually explore it for themselves, see what's there. And the possibilities that you get by wearing the robes is incredible. I could put my robes on and just walk around in Sri Lanka, and I can stop at any temple and they will give me a bed and food. And I could just walk and meditate, sleep on the road, sleep in a temple, just walk to the next place, talk to a teacher somewhere, and then just go to the next. It's an absolutely incredible system that feels like it's not even been used by most monks. So it's a shame. Jack, lack of meat has more healthy effects on your body than you could think. Most monks I know from Cambodia, Kamdoli ordination of Benedict Chantry have more than 7 years of life, so it works. Buddhist monks eat meat, so that's not a thing there. Nadia, well, at least Theravadan tradition. Nadia, do you feel you're a very different person to the person before you started meditating? I can't even compare that. I think, okay, actually, I think I am more like me as a teenager or as a child. My personality, meaning who I am, the way I do jokes, the things I enjoy doing, and the way that I love talking to people and being open to people, and just whenever we're out walking, I'll just, if I see someone who does something that I find like, oh, that was sweet, I'll just walk up to them and say, hey, that's really cute of you, like that you did that. Or if someone helps someone who's like, I tell people what I think, like that's me. I've always done that. But in between there for a while, maybe I didn't do it so much because I was afraid of what would people think of me, who would I be. So those inhibitions have disappeared. So I'm more myself before, but how I react to the world around me is very different. I am not motivated as I was like after my teenage year and upwards by I wanted to have fame, I wanted to be successful. If I would have been doing the thing I'm doing now 30 years ago, so I'm 47, as if I would have been 17, I would have been doing this because I wanted to be successful, because I wanted to be famous, because I wanted to help people. I wanted to make this big, this channel, so that I could help as many people as possible. There would be a lot of me in that. I want to do this. I want to be the person who does this. Now it really doesn't make it any difference. I love helping people. I really enjoy it. But I'm also perfectly fine not doing that. And if it wasn't helping my practice, I wouldn't do this. I would wait until I feel that, okay, now I fully understand this. But it actually helps me because people ask me questions and I have to become clearer on what I believe and how I practice. And it makes me understand my own practice better, since I am quite literally making it up as I go along. And then when I say making it up, I don't mean I just randomly make it up. I mean, I'm trying to describe what's happening inside of me naturally while I sit. I'm not teaching something I read in a book or something that someone told me. I'm literally trying to explain what I am going through and how that just works so well. And the reason that it's a bit different for me is, like I said, I believe it has to do with my spinal injury, and that's why I have this pressure here. So for me, when we talk about non-centricness, I can feel the pressure. I can feel it, like how it goes up. I can feel this, they call it the kundalini, like it just goes up and down. I have felt that non-stop for 15 years since I had the first really crazy stuff happen to me, like 2010. It never stops. So I can really feel when I do this, okay, there's a lot of pressure here now, meaning I have a sense of self. But I can also feel when all of that disappears, and I can feel that, oh, I have this openness. I can see everything and I'm not there. Then this pressure disappears, which people call energy. The energy disappears, which is also why I don't call it energy, because not in the positive sense, or maybe there is something that flows through us, and when we feel energy, it's actually blockages that we're holding it up instead of just letting it flow. I don't know, like we can't know that for sure. So I'm simply sharing how I'm experiencing the world and how I found a way of practicing that is slightly different from how one normally does it, but that just works really, really well. Jack, there are only a few though. Jack, you have to tell us someday about the time when you felt that you were going through with deep samadhi and started to realize there is nothing more to achieve. That it never happened like that. Samadhi I never had any like realizations during samadhi, really. Concentration states you just fall through. I never practiced jhana practice. It just happened to me while I was sitting. They just started coming, and they're really not that big of a deal as people make them out to be. They're not life-changing in that way, but they are very useful when you meditate, because it just becomes much easier to focus and you become calmer, and you function a little bit differently, but it's not as big a deal as people make it out to be. Yeah, because this is what enlightenment is, realizing there is nothing more to life than this. Depends on whose interpretation of enlightenment you use. There's I think there's 45 different versions of enlightenment, which all have to do with various things. Some give you power, cities, and some make you see the universe in different perspectives. Some make you talk to other beings, dimensions. Some just makes you liberated, whatever that means. there is no, when people throw around things like this is what enlightenment is, it's no, we don't know. I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about when you say enlightenment, because I have heard so many different interpretations of what it is. It's the kind of thing that people say, oh, enlightenment is, yeah, I know what that is, but do we really? Do we really know what it is? And, oh, well, I can quote the definition in the Theravadan text. Okay, yeah, but what about the other texts? They have different interpretations. And the other schools within that teaching, it's, yeah, that's why I say liberated rather than enlightened, because liberated makes more sense from the perspective of having a sense of self. When you release that and you walk around with that freedom, the ease of being that comes with that, it really feels like being liberated. Much better word than enlightenment, which tends to make people think they need to understand something. You don't. It's not an understanding as, oh, I figured it out. There's only that. No, that's not how it works. Any fully enlightened monk should just disrobe and have a lot of kids. I've never met anyone who has fully liberated themselves. According to my definition, which is they have no sense of self. At least no one has told me. I haven't seen anything to the like. There is one monk who, if he wasn't, then at least he was very near that all this time, because he just, an old man, an old monk, he must have been like 80, 90 something, who had been a monk since he was a child. And he was in the Burmese school, so he meditated several hours per day. We're talking not 10,000 hours, we're talking, yeah, like 60, 70, 80, 90, maybe 100,000 hours. I don't actually know how many hours you have time to meditate, but a lot. Imagine doing, if he was 90, 85, 90, he would have meditated for at least 70 years. And for probably a big part of that, he did 10 plus hours. So that's a lot of meditation. Cool. Such a long time ago, it feels almost unreal talking about it. And I am incredibly grateful for the chance that I got to practice as a monk. And I believe that doing what I did, which is to actually practice and doing that, even though I never call myself a Buddhist, even though I don't consider myself a Buddhist now either, I did what the robes were meant to from the beginning, which is to give people the vehicle so that they can practice and explore themselves. Rahula was born long before Siddhartha reached enlightenment. So Rahula was the Buddha's son, who Rahula means tether, I think it is, which is like, if you think about it, if I would have named my son Tether, he is the one that holds me back from reaching my full potential. So he's holding me down, kind of like, that's not really a nice thing to do. And then on top of that, in the middle of the night, I just leave my wife and kid and say I run away because I'm going to seek enlightenment. That would have been me having a panic attack. But there's a lot of stories when you think about them, not as a holy person doing these things, but as a normal person. Then it's like, what? Like, he had a panic attack and he needed to get away from all the stuff that he couldn't handle, and then he attained liberation after that. But people paint up and afterwards these stories around it. But to me, he was someone who, the way that it sounds, if you read the stories and you don't make it a religious thing, then it would have been someone who just panicked, ran away, and then was really into meditation, trying different things, and stumbled upon something that someone hadn't stumbled upon before. And then people tried to take what he had learned and put it into ways that everyone can understand. And then over the millennia, that kind of just got diluted into just normal meditation, basically. Sounds like fun, yeah. So, for those of you who are new, we usually sit and chat like this for a little while, and then we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, where we focus on our senses. 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing we can taste. And then today is Monday. Yes, Monday. And we have a guided meditation today. And then after that, we go to sleep. I am really tired, so perfect. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, what we do is we say out aloud the things we experience. And you can do it together with me as well. So here I have a alarm clock, and I just say out loud, alarm clock. And when I look at this, by the way, there was someone who messaged me and said, it's really nice that you do the same thing every time, because I keep seeing the videos. And then this time, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he sent the message. Then he had finally seen the non-centricness. It's just like, oh, it just happened. It just over and over and over again. And then eventually I just got it. And I thought, oh, now I understand it. And then the next time he didn't anymore. But the thing is, when you just keep practicing this, it eventually just makes sense. You start seeing the world as it is. Because when we look at this, we try to see this as it is. In the seeing is only the seen is one of those sayings. We try to see the curvature, the reflection, the colors, the shape, all of this stuff. We don't try to say, oh, this looks kind of cheap. I know that the vibration it makes me a little bit uncomfortable because it's so loud. Or I know that if I press this one, there's going to be a lot. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to observe without a sense of relationship or without the sense of having a good or bad. We're just seeing it as it is, like a child would see it. Alarm. Hey, Stephen, nice to have you here. I see myself on a TV screen, and right now I'm talking. I can see the reflections on my forehead. I can see everything in the background. See my mouth moving, and some lamps. I see a computer. Lots of stuff happening on that computer. And I can see a LED spotlight. And I see a painting of myself. I think I'm going to hang that behind me. Really, it's all about like appreciating what you see, feeling good about reality as it is. It's nice to look at things. It's enjoyable. It's pleasant. But when you have this feeling, oh, this is good, this is bad, then all of a sudden it isn't pleasant. But if you don't have those relationships to things and you really see them as they are, it's enjoyable to look at things. So that was 5 things we could see. Next we take 4 things we can feel. And I can feel my leg. I can feel the fabric on my pants. I can feel the shape of my leg. Same thing here. We're trying to become interested in what we're feeling. I can feel the skin of my fingers, and I can feel that it's very dry up here, crackled, a little bit softer down here. Next, I can feel the rim of my glasses and the edges here. Just become curious about the things you're experiencing. Instead of saying, oh, I know what this is, it's my glasses. I take them on and off every time, and like I hold it, but like really feel it. And I feel this metal tube. A little bit cool. That was 4 things that I could feel. Next we take 3 things I can... 3 things that I can hear. And you say them out aloud on your end as well. Obviously not the same ones I'm saying, but the things you see. So I hear a dog barking. I hear someone playing loud music. I hear a crackle and pop in my neck. Three things I could hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. It smells almost like coffee, which is strange. And I can smell It smells like dust, kind of when it's a bit clamped. It's been warm in here, so the feeling of the smell of warmth, kind of. Finally, we take one thing that we can taste. It's a good cheesy tomato taste. I ate pizza before. So I want you to put yourself in a comfortable position. This could be sitting down, lying down, it could even be standing up, or even walking if you want to, as long as you can do it in a safe manner. If it's possible, it's easier to keep your eyes closed to minimize the amount of impressions that you're getting. And I want you to start focusing on your breath. Just start paying attention or being near your breath. We don't need to feel the specific sensations of the breath. Instead, it's in general awareness of breath happening. Can you feel that you are breathing? Can you be aware that breath is happening inside of you? This is all we're looking for. We're not trying to find a narrow point where the breath is touching the nostril or where it's hitting the back of our nasal cavities. Instead, we're just trying to create an open space where we are aware the breath is happening. It's important that you try to make this awareness wide, that it's relaxed, that there's no striving, that there's no pushing or pulling or craving, wanting the breath to do something. Instead, we're trying to create a space for the breath to do whatever it wants to do. Just let go of control and let it breathe by itself and see what happens. There's no right and wrong here. There's no medals at the end of this meditation where you were able to or weren't able to focus on your breath. Instead, it's every moment that you are aware that we're looking for. Before, during, and after the meditation, it's all about, are you aware how you're experiencing your reality? Can you be close to your senses without interpreting, judging, condemning, or wanting, or pushing away? Just experiencing reality in that most simple of ways, where it's beautiful to be alive, where it's enjoyable, where you can appreciate a simple thing like your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Quite often when people start doing this, they'll notice that there's a lot of thoughts, either pulling you towards the future of something that will happen tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow, or maybe far into the future and you're still thinking about it right now. Or maybe something happened just before you sat down, maybe the day before, maybe the year before, maybe many years before, and you're still extending a part of yourself towards that thing that happened before, not allowing yourself to fully experience just the breath happening right now. Give yourself permission to, for the next 20 minutes, just sit still, to just be aware of what it feels like to breathe in and breathe out. You cannot fail at this. There's no good or bad. We're just doing our best to try to feel what it feels like to breathe in and breathe out. Now, to make it a little bit easier, we'll do an exercise where we count our breath from 1 to 8. then down again from 8 to 1. And I will do this together with you the first time, and then after that you can continue by yourself. So breathing in and out. 1. In and out. 2. In and out. 3. In and out. 4. In and out. 5. In and out. 6. In and out. 7. In and out. 8. In and out. 7. In and out. 6. In and out. 5. In and out. 4. In and out. 3. In and out. 2. In and out. 1. Now keep counting your breath from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1 as you breathe in and out. 1. In and out. If you're sitting there meditating and focusing on your breath, and maybe there's some tension, maybe there's some pressure, ask yourself why you're not in a good mood right now. What is preventing you from feeling good right now and appreciating this breath? Almost inevitably it's going to be something that happened, or something that will happen, or some situation you're in that you don't like, or your circumstances aren't the way they should be according to you. I want you to ask yourself, why wait? Because if you think about it, whenever the point comes where you have what it is that you need to then, at least you believe so now, allow yourself to feel happy or feel good, it will be now. That's not going to happen in the future. The only thing we can experience is right now. So why would you withhold happiness until the future now when you can just choose to be happy now? There is this false belief that our outer circumstances determine how we feel. And that's a difficult belief to let go of. This is why people strive so much, where they ruin their lives to get somewhere they might not even want to go, just because someone told them so. That's why we can fight our whole life with someone who did something towards us when we were children, and we still hold a grudge against them. Instead of just letting go and enjoying being here right now. Something you can try, which is called Ho'oponopono, is a way to remove this tension, this pressure in between. And no matter what it is that's there, let's say it's an opportunity that you missed, just say to yourself, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And we're not trying to make sense of what this means. We're just trying to feel the feelings that comes with I am sorry. To feel the sensation you have when you say, please forgive me. What does it feel to say thank you and I love you? Just by bringing up the state of mind, the distortion, or rather the lack of distortion that comes from saying those things, you will start to move yourself into that feeling of just being okay with reality the way it is. And when you are, you'll start enjoying yourself more. And when you start enjoying yourself more and being more in a good mood, then you'll be more forgiving. So just ask yourself those questions. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or I love you, or rather the statements. And see what that feels like. Thank you for a very nice sitting. I hope everyone had a good sitting. Not necessarily pleasant, but something that gave you something. And I'll see you back on Thursday. And really try. Like I say this so many times, but I was very happy when that guy messaged me and said that, oh, I'm so happy you kept just repeating that until I finally got it. And it's not really something we understand, it's something we allow ourselves to feel. You're welcome, Nadia. So just try until Thursday to just feel good. And try to be forgiving towards people. If you just walk around with that as your mantra. Right now I'm focusing on feeling good. I'm not trying to finish things. I'm not trying to do a specific thing. I'm just trying to feel good. And that might be while you're moving towards finishing things. And at the same time, focus on being forgiving. Doesn't mean you make everything people do towards you okay or that you agree with it. It just means that you let go of the pressure that you have towards the things people do that you disagree with. I wish you a great week, and I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you.